At AeroTime, we have a lot of readers and followers who are either looking to start or further their career in aviation.
Yeah.
And Xander, we'd love to talk about your professional journey. You started with Cebu Pacific in the year 2007, correct?
It's a long time ago. My hair was darker, but
Did you always want to work in aviation?
that's a great question. This has been my first and only airline experience. Now, prior to joining Cebu Pacific, I was actually with a financial services company. And some people ask me, how do you make the change from financial services into the airline? I said, well, at the end of the day, the business objectives are the same, right? You try to increase unit revenues, try to decrease unit costs. But I do think, in particular, the mission here in Cebu Pacific has been something that's kept me here for a while. It's great. I guess part of my job is to open new routes and
Correct.
expand, etc. And it's quite fulfilling to see, destinations get a lot more air services. So clearly, that's one aspect. The second aspect is also the people here. I mean, it's a great environment to work in. I must say, working in an airline is not easy. There are challenges. There are so many things not necessarily within your control, right? But it's great to be working in an environment that's quite open, that's challenging, and team's been really great. I really can't ask for any. I mean, you did say I started in 2007. Sometimes it feels like, time flies by so fast because we are having so much fun, right? But it's not an easy job, but it's quite a fulfilling one. Yeah.
But going back from, let's say, when you were studying or fresh out of university, what was your dream or goal professionally?
I wasn't thinking about an airline actually. I think initially, funny, because my mom wanted me to be a lawyer. My dad, who was a banker, wanted me to work in the bank, and I said, no, I don't want either. So I sort of stuck to the middle, and I said, look, I want to see things grow. If anything, it was one of those things I was thinking about while studying. Right, I'd like to see if I were to start something, I'd like to actually see, grow into something bigger and actually quite fulfilling. And to be honest, the role here at the airline, and many roles here in the airline, you have that opportunity, right?
Yeah.
So whether, again, personally, it's my favorite story is really Siargao. When we started that, I can't remember when we started it, but we were sort of laughed at when we started it. When we started like a twice a week service out of Cebu, and they were saying, there's no one there. It's just mga nipakat, and it's just like, it's small, there's nothing there, there's no one there. But when we first landed there, it was funny because the airport was like a small shed, and there was a weighing scale to weigh your bags, and there's really nothing there. But today,
Yeah, it's like a hot spot.
yeah, it's a hot spot. There's like 9 flights a day into Siargao. And you can see that the economy is developed, tourism's come in, Obviously there's some things that need to be managed better because of that. But at the same time, you see a lot of development in the community. You see a lot more access, which is great. And when we were going around there, one of the we were on a tricycle, and the guy was saying, "Gosh, it's such a hard time to get help." And he said, "Yeah, it used to be so easy to get help, but now actually, because with so many hotels coming up, the help is now getting paid twice as much." Right? So, and it's great to see that, and there is a benefit to that, right? So, ideally, Filipinos don't have to go overseas, right? Ideally, they can establish your roots here and be with their families here, and we do think air travel opens up those opportunities. So, Siargao is one example, and I'm sure there's a lot more.
When was this when you discovered Siargao?
Gosh, I think that was 2000. I can't really remember whether it was 2009 or 2011.
Yeah, but when you think about it, that's quite a short time from what it was, as you said, from Bahats to what it is
and
now.
what it is today, right? So you have flights from Manila, from Cebu, from Clark, not just from Cebu Pacific, but all of the other local carriers, right? So that's a market that used to be not, very small, and now it's quite large, right? And it's great.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And it even has its own culture now. That's how it's grown. Like
It does,
overall,
it does, it does.
the culture.
It does, and it's actually it was fascinating when we went down there. Actually, a lot of expats apparently had already discovered
Yeah.
Siargao, and food there's even better in than other parts here in Metro Manila.
So much that some of them has even come to Manila, right? Some restaurants in
Yeah. What's the yeah? Definitely. I forgot the name of the pizza place, but yeah, that's fantastic. It's really good actually.
Now, Xander, I'm sure there are people watching who have aspirations of maybe taking up high level airline management, but there's a plethora of courses and they don't know what to choose, what to major in. You yourself, you have a very strong educational background in finance and management.
Sure.
Yeah. How is this important to your role now? And would you say that was a perfect combination, or that's a perfect combination for someone who wants to lead and take an airline to great heights as you and your team did for Cebu Pacific?
Yeah. Now, as strange as it sounds, I wasn't thinking about the airline or the aviation industry when I was studying. Right. I think management and finance and general management can take you in any industry and you can succeed. No? I think with the airline specifically, you can be really, really specialized, right? So you can be in engineering and get a career. You can be a flight operations or captain and a pilot, and that's a really specialized role. And actually, to become a pilot, one of my friends took an interdisciplinary studies course in our university. So it wasn't, it wasn't flying specific. I went to flying school thereafter, but there can be specific rules in the industry that are very, very specialized, and you can actually specialize in aeronautical engineering or engineering and flight mechanics, etc. I think overseas there are a lot more courses that are more focused on aerospace as opposed to the Philippines. I, I guess it was more beneficial from my perspective to be in some sort of GM or math or some business administration course, which helped me along the way. But look, at the end of the day, I'm of the belief that your course can give you some advantages, but it doesn't necessarily determine the rest of your career, right?
It's not too late if someone maybe took a course that's completely different.
Yeah.
And they decide to work in aviation.
Absolutely. I think what's needed sometimes in certain roles is good business sense, empathy to some extent, mastering yourself is also quite important. I don't think the course itself will determine your success or, you you could have bad grades in university. You could not have graduated university, but yet still be super successful. And there are, many examples of that. But in particular in the aviation sector, you don't necessarily have to be in a specific course to succeed in this career.
Unless you want to be a pilot.
Unless you want to be a pilot,
Something
right?
like that.
If you want to be super specialized, then absolutely, yeah. But yeah,
Now, my last question about career, and this is a topic that can be a bit contested, and there's a big debate about this.
Yeah.
It's a topic of passion. Do you believe that one should pursue their passion in their career? And are you passionate about aviation or management or finance or all of the above?
That's a great question. And in the sense that ideally, what you're passionate about is what your career should be, right? But if everyone had that, then discussion wouldn't even be asked, right? I think the practicality is there are some people that may be stuck in stuff that they never wanted to be. That's the most ideal, right? If that's something you're really passionate in, then ideally that's the career you're going to be in. What am I passionate about? It's not necessarily about finance or aviation. It really is about growth, whether it's seeing the business grow or the people,
Or the destination,
or the destinations that we operate in to grow and the traffic grows. That's one side. Obviously, the other part that's fulfilling to me is, seeing people here in the company grow as well. I've seen some of my teammates who I've worked with for maybe the last 10 years, and they started out as a fresh graduate, and now they're now, independent, or they're married with children and yet have a pretty good career. So I think seeing the growth in the business, the growth that the business brings to the communities we serve, and the growth with the people that are here in the company are quite fulfilling on its own. And that's something I'm generally passionate about. And it is at the end of the day when you go home, right? Sort of think, what did I do today? Okay, again tomorrow. And again, reflect. And actually, you don't think of it on a day-to-day basis, but there are times where you get some quiet time and you're able to reflect on what could I have done better, what did I do well, right? And these are the things you sort of think about and reflect on. Yeah.
It's a good thing to be passionate about because that can be outside of your career. If
Absolutely.
if you're passionate about seeing things grow, that could be for yourself, relationships. And then when you see this, as you said, people or destinations, it's your body of work.
Absolutely. And it takes a village to get things done, right? I mean, it's great. And again, I go back to the team. I don't think we could have grown the way we've grown. I mean, in December, we carried more than 2.5 million passengers. We were setting records in terms of total flights operated, but it was generally uneventful, and that's how operational delivery or execution should be, right? You want to make sure that here's what you promise and here's what you deliver, right? And nothing more, nothing less. Ideally, it's exceptional service. In a constrained environment, that could be really difficult, right? But and it was uneventful, and yet it was executed.
Nice.
Yeah.
And finally, Xander, to conclude this wonderful discussion,
Sure.
it's the beginning of the year. What does 2025 look like for Cebu Pacific?
It is, this year is going to be a high growth year for us. We do think we're going to be growing around 20-ish%, maybe low to mid 20s. And that's because of the growth that we started in the fourth quarter of this year. And maybe looking back, last year was super busy. Like we opened 24 new routes. We established 2 new bases, all in the span of maybe 4 to 6 months. So looking towards this year, we intend to try and develop and continue a lot of the markets that we started out now. So we opened 24 new routes. By the way, not all of those will survive. I'm sure some of them will fall to the wayside. But it's part and parcel of our growth strategy, and to make sure that we're going down this path to grow our bases both in Manila and outside Manila. So obviously a lot of growth. In terms of deliveries this year, I think we're just taking 7. Last year we took around 17 new aircraft. This year maybe only around 7. So that'll keep us busy. We're also looking forward to the integration of AirSwift into our main operations. Now today they're still on separate websites, etc. So that piece of work is going to be undertaken as well. So we are going to be in a high growth phase, at least for the first, for throughout this year. But a lot of that growth already started in Q4. So it's really making sure that we're able to sustain it. In fact, started the year, we launched Sapporo. So maybe one of many route launches throughout the year, but we'll continue to grow. And that's something we need to make sure that is sustainable, rather. You can't keep growing for growth's sake, right? It needs to be sustainable growth as well.
Well, that sounds like an exciting year ahead.
Indeed.
Thank you very much for your time, Xander.
Thanks, Gia. Thanks so much.